We got more news this week on 7.0, where apparently we will be popping some tags, multi-tagging on world bosses, and we will be getting wait for it, legendaries. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 402. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hi, Max. I am so excited for multi-tagging. I'm just kind of floored about it because that was like that's been on my wish list a few years running, and it was also something that I just didn't think we'd ever see. So, yay! And we're getting a really late start tonight because I would not stop talking.
About Wendy's, folks. About Wendy's. Milkshakes and Christmas movies, and so join the chat room if you ever want to hear that stuff. It's classic, and we will catch you. We do chat room both before and after is open for the most random of randomness. So I like that.
But in game this week, I've been continuing to work on Renown, which I'm almost done with. It's like my goal, I'll restate, was to get to Renown 100 on the classes that I hadn't done that yet, and I just have one left, which is my Sith Warrior, and I'm like at 98, so it's going to be like probably the next time I log in. And now I'm also working on getting to 100% achievements on the Feast of Prosperity, which I wasn't going to do, but I ended up doing it for XP and Renown, and I kind of got into it, so now I'm working on getting the 25 of the challenge modes. And I think I need to do one challenge mode with no errors, and then I'll be done with that. So,
wow.
Yes, I've been doing Renown, Feast of Prosperity, and then in MFN this week we did Feast of Prosperity stuff, and then we killed a bunch of stuff all over the galaxy. And while we did it, we had some, achievement chatter people were talking about. That's what I think that must be kind of what got me into it, is even though I had talked with Thon, and Thon had been working on it, I don't usually do something because Thon does it. But
no, I would not recommend that to anyone, doing things because Thon does them. I mean, you can. It just may not work out well for you. Often doesn't work out well for Thon.
But just hearing everyone talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I can do it. So I didn't leave myself much time, but I'm hopeful. So yeah, I mean, so that's what this week has been about, and the rest of this week will be about is getting those 25 done, which you can do on multiple characters. It doesn't need the same character, so it's just how many times am I willing to log in and do them. So yay, that's what I've been up to. How about you, Max?
I see you've completed your feast outfit.
Yes, I have.
And we've determined that these are baby Nexu tongues that are hanging off here, and other spices and seasonings.
Yeah, I have bought everything off the vendor now too, except for I didn't buy the other outfit. Although I did buy the gloves from the other outfit because this outfit doesn't have gloves, and my Merc gloves looked kind of weird with that sort of dress thing that I'm wearing.
Nomadish robe wrap item. It looks good. And we did comment on the colors, the sort of the purple and gold, or the purple and tan, being unique, but actually looking pretty good. I like that. I like that little outfit. That looks good. I have been doing a bunch of stuff as well, as you can imagine. I'm not going to complete all the achievements for the feast. I've just got too many other sort of fun things going on, including all the stuff in Star Wars, all the MFN stuff. We're killing all the world bosses. I've done plenty of feast stuff, and I do have pretty much everything I want off of the vendors, the mount, and a bunch of the stuff. In fact, I have to spend a bunch of tokens. Remind me to do that before the end of the week. Although those vendors probably will be down in the Cartel Bazaar if you don't get your tokens all spent by the end of the week. That's how they usually do that. I did spend a bunch of time this week continuing to clean up inventory and sell surplus materials and like high-end materials and legendary embers I have ridiculous amounts of credits coming in as a result of that. That's not really the purpose. I just want to clean a bunch of things out. I certainly want my inventory all cleaned out, including like bank inventory and my legacy storage. I want all that cleaned out because we're going to get all new stuff as we're going to talk about for 7.0, and I'm going to need the space to be picking that stuff
I
up as we go from 75 to 80, and we get new kind new
I've been
kinds of
doing that
items.
as I've been doing that as well, just because I want to sell that stuff before it's just worthless.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
before we go on to the next round of things.
And I'm almost less concerned about that because even if I didn't sell any of it and I wasted all of that profit, I don't really care. But since I'm cleaning it out, I will either just delete it or put stuff up on the GTN, and might as well put it on the GTN. I want to. I I I need the space though. You know, it would be great. They haven't announced anything like this yet, but if they gave us another storage tab with 7.0, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That
Yeah,
would
it
be
would.
a gift. We wouldn't be expecting that, would we?
Bet you didn't see this coming!
But
I
we'll
saw
get into
that
more on
coming.
7.0. There's a lot of things we didn't see coming, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. That'll be the second half of the show. But before then, were a couple things up in the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up, I just skimmed through, nothing all that exciting, but there was the usual bug roundup. A couple things that showed up in there. Weird stuff is showing up where companions, especially if you're right now still going through the Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Eternal Throne, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Eternal Throne, Knights of the Fallen Empire, you might have companions showing up in multiple places in your companion list. That's some weird bug that got introduced somehow, and it's causing consternation for some people, which because it's sort of weird, and they're gonna have to fix that.
That would bug me.
So there's a few threads that are talking about that. And then the one that I did like for the feast, although there's other bugs for the feast, I'm getting frustrated that the Belsavis world boss is still broken. They did that. We talked about that last week. They put a post out, and to be clear, the answer is kill the ads. Kill the ads either while you're killing the boss or immediately after. Kill all the ads. Kill the ads. The answer is not, which Seema was even in a group earlier today where they were saying, "Oh no, leave the ads. Don't touch them. Everybody don't touch the ads." That's what breaks it. That's what breaks the boss. I don't know where people got this information. They like made it up in their heads and it spreads through the grapevine, or it's a game of telephone. Ads, don't kill the ads. Okay. All right, I'm not going to. No, kill them. Kill the ads. Kill the ads. It's when you don't kill the ads that the boss doesn't respawn, because the trigger for the boss to respawn is off of the boss's death and the end of the fight. And if you're leaving the ads, especially if you're leaving the ads to despawn, like you're like running away, rubber banding them, and they reset, well, then that messes up the whole fight. So there's that bug. The other bug that which came up this week that they said is if you're doing any of the cooking quests, certain ones of them have you needing to grill certain items, and what you need to do, like you have to grill some Nexu tongue. You can pick up the Nexu tongue and you need to target the grill. Apparently, the targeting of where you need to click to target the grill isn't right on the grill, and apparently you need to aim low. So in my head,
It's kind of funny.
my
Oh, go
head.
ahead. What's in
Well,
your head?
no, I'm just imagining now. If I'm in the kitchen, I got like I tell people, just like if you're gonna aim you've got the next you gotta aim low. Just slide it right in there. I don't know. Amused
It's
me.
kind of funny because when I was in the kitchen and I was tossing things at the grill and it was not working, and I was like moving it around and like moving the reticule around, and I saw that you had to like aim for the floor a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know. But apparently it's a thing, because I went out and people in general saying, no, 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 you have to aim a little low. And now I see it in this thing. I'm like, so somebody came and asked on general, how come this doesn't work? And someone told them aim low. I'm like, okay.
There you go.
It's a like, why can't you? I just noticed it and then I'm doing it. It's sort of like I would never think to say,
You solved it. You figured it out.
but I didn't even figure it out. It was just sort of like, this is how this one works. I didn't hit like the same spot 99 times, fail the mission, and then ask in general, how do I do this?
You didn't science it. You didn't science it up so you could figure out exactly where it was where the
That's my
correct hitbox was.
that's my secret. I never science it up.
Search your feelings, Luke. And whatever you
It's
feel is
hilarious
now
though.
fact.
When you do the grilled Nexu tongue, there is a step where you turn the you turn the eye on under the saucepan. Then you put ice chips in it. Then you turn it down. Then it's done.
Huh.
Like then it says take the grilled ingredients and the stewed ingredients and put them on the expo table, and I'm like, but the stewed ingredients are just water. Okay.
I think there's a cooking channel on YouTube where he basically makes water in very elaborate ways of like freezing and defrosting and cooking and boiling and bring it up to 95 degrees and then put it in the freezer overnight, and he's basically just making cups of water over and over and over again. So maybe that was some little troll there.
Yeah.
I like that. What else we got? Well, I mean, so the feast is wrapping up, right, Seema?
Yeah, so this is the last week. It was a 3-week event. We're in the last week now, so you have until, basically Monday night. So it'll reset. It reset on Tuesday morning. And that'll be it.
That will be it. So you need to be finishing it up this weekend.
That shall also be the end of Double XP and Double Renown.
Right. That's probably even, well, for some people, that's even more of a focus right now.
That's a very worthy focus.
And it has been amazing for the people that have been going after those renown targets and leveling up a bunch of characters. On Tuesday night, when we were doing our fun night with the guild, we had people, and BC purposefully arranged the night so we would be hitting a lot of heroic areas. And as a group, when you've got a whole group killing those heroic mobs, they die really fast and they give you a whole bunch of experience. And we had people, I think we had one person that got like 14 levels or 15 levels in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I even brought an operative for a couple, like one planet where we did Rampage and got two levels off a level 64 operative. For whatever reason, I did not have that. I think I don't have an operative at level 75. I think that character right there is. I mean, I have a sniper and I have gunslingers, but I don't have an operative at 75.
Do you have a scoundrel?
I don't know. It's my least favorite of the styles. Is Scoundrel Operative. Because I never really healed all that much, and I didn't really like the up close stab. Not only is it melee, but it's melee without like waving around a couple lightsabers. I mean, if I'm gonna do melee, might as well dual wield lightsabers to get a saber staff and do the big swirly things. And they're also quite good in PvP, but again, that wasn't really my focus. So I should level that up. But yeah, that'll be wrapped up, and then next week we'll get back on a little bit more of a regular schedule of events. We expect that I don't know what's up in the rotation. Chat room, maybe does someone know? It's probably either swoop races next starting on Tuesday or Gree maybe starting on Tuesday. It's not. I feel like we just had Rat Ghouls and we just had Bounty Contract. Pirates could be coming back. It could be one of those. We'll get back to a regular schedule.
We had Pirates this month.
Oh, okay. So we already had Pirates. So it's probably going to be Swoop or Gree. And then we all, though, will be looking forward to, in probably a month from now, we should be getting Life Day starting back up before long as well. And we'll have to keep an eye out. It would be fun to see some tweaks to Life Day. We usually get an updated, I don't know if we're going to get anything new. We usually get like a new mount and maybe some new decos associated with it. They threw some tweaks here and there. They added the Wookiees and the Wookiee hugging 2 years ago, and then they upped the limit to do it. You got to do like, I think this year you're going to have to do 75,000 Wookiee hugs. I think they data mined that.
But Max will not let us play any Life Day music until the day after Thanksgiving.
Day after Thanksgiving. Sorry, that was a call back to the pre-show as well. Christmas season does not start until the day after Thanksgiving. You watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and the last float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is Santa, and that's the start of the Christmas holiday season. Otherwise, it's like harvest. It's still harvest season and Thanksgiving, and you want to enjoy fall. You don't need to be Christmas season yet. All right. Anyway, so look out for Life Day. Pushing buttons. Seema's typing in the chat room. See what I did? Just pushing the button. She knows where those buttons are. Fine. Guild and community news. We continue to have our mandatory fun nights on Tuesday nights. BC is back, which is excellent. Glad to have him back running those Tuesday night mandatory fun nights. We will be having a mega in the next 2 weeks. That's our monthly epic guild activity. You'll buy a whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. That'll be coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. Marcus is a little under the weather this week. I think he wants to take some time to make sure he can get some fun things going. He'll have that going, I think, a week from Saturday, which would then be the November the 12th or November the 13th. Ooh, spooky, Saturday the 13th. No, that's not spooky at all. But look forward to that. And also, of course, shout out to the chat room. Glad to have all of you in there reminding us what actors played what, who, in what Hallmark holiday movies in the pre-show. The really important things that had to go into the show notes. Really appreciate that. Maybe we'll talk about that more in the coming months. And we'll all rank our favorite holiday movies as we move into the holiday season. But right now, we're going to talk about the real holiday, which is the 10th anniversary of Star Wars: The Old Republic, and some new things that we didn't realize would be arriving. Yeah, we got some things, didn't we? We got some things we didn't see coming. Well, we'll go through them all, and I'll show the threads. But what was the number one thing that you didn't see coming that you were happy to see and excited about?
Well, I mean, I there's a couple things I didn't see coming, but we'll start with shared tagging because I have a couple things to say about this. So yes, I already said I'm excited about this, but I also want to say, like, I'm taking a deep breath because it's probably going to have a bumpy start.
The expansion in general?
No, the shared tagging.
Oh.
I'm thinking of the shared tagging because they're adding the healer thing in.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, healers are going to be like ejected off the planets, or healers are going to out into space.
So basically, what they're trying to make, how they're trying to make the shared healing work for healers is that if you heal someone who does damage, then you get credit for the tag. And there's going to be some situations where, and tagging is going to be basically faction based. So if the tag goes to one faction, then the other faction it doesn't get the tag, with some exceptions. And those exceptions will be things like some world bosses, hopefully all the world bosses.
Right.
But I also foresee, just in general, some things maybe not working. Like maybe you did hit the boss, but you still don't get credit. Like I just feel like there's going to be, so like just be philosophical about it.
Yes.
There might be some things that don't work quite right.
There might be some fights where you don't get credit. There might be some things that
or you
that
get
work exactly.
You get credit, but you don't get loot, or you get loot, but you don't get credit.
Yeah.
And I'm not. This is not a BioWare comment. I'm just saying it's a big change.
Right.
And
it's old code.
And I'm excited because maybe it's foretelling of other multi-tagging coming in the future.
That would be great. So yeah, that was we put that first on our list, a little bit out of order. They've got a whole thread there where you can read this stuff in detail, of course. But I figured we should talk about shared tagging first because I think that's even going to have an impact on some of the other stuff which is changing. So yeah, was there anything else in shared tagging? Now the healer thing was the one that I thought was interesting. I do wonder I think it's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to adjust to the dynamics of what it's like to have shared tagging as well, because people aren't used to it. They're used to filling up a whole group, and calling out in general, filling up a group, waiting to pull until you've got everybody there, doing a summon. Whereas now, if there's a bunch of people, especially if it's cross faction, you couldn't even put a group together if you wanted to. You could get into this situation where people will go ahead and pull early. Because they assume that all the people standing around are going to join in anyway. We don't need to create a group. It's multi-tagging, and you'll get an aggressive tank who'll go ahead and pull early, and some tanks and healers, and the fight will start. For us, when we do a lot of gathering up a guild group, we've got 16 people in a group, and we're moving from planet to planet. Sometimes it takes a while to get everybody there. Not everybody's load screens works as fast as everyone else's. So if we start showing up and another group sees, eight players show up and they start the boss fight, we're just gonna have to hope everybody else loads in really quick or got the summons. I think there's gonna be a little bit of that just to feel out and adjust to.
And if you're doing a fight, like Starry Saver is bringing up in the chat, if you're doing a fight that requires a tank and healers and lots of DPS, you're still going to need all those things. Multi-tagging does not remove the need for roles. It's just, so if you just have a bunch of random people that just suddenly start attacking a boss, yeah, that might not work.
Right.
But if you run up and there's a group already killing a boss and you get I've done this in other games. Nothing more satisfying than coming up at the last minute and getting that one last shot in just in time, and you get credit for the boss kill.
Yeah, and then you get the drop, and you get the dread tooth drop off the boss too. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean that's
We also wondered there on there are a couple special bosses like Nightmare Pilgrim and like Dreadtooth, where you have the 10 stack Dreadtooth that work in unique ways, where you can't have more than 16 players be killing Dreadtooth. And same thing with Nightmare Pilgrim, and there's mechanics to lock people out after the fight starts. We don't know how those are going to work, and multi-tagging as it stands wouldn't work. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out as well.
Yeah, so I think that here's my prediction. With Nightmare Pilgrim, they're going to turn Nightmare Pilgrim into a normal world boss with no debuff to prevent you from multiple pulling, and no restriction about the size of the group. And then Dreadtooth, they're going to do the opposite, keep him exactly the way he is, and he won't be multi-taggable.
Interesting. I think a lot of people would be really happy about that Nightmare Pilgrim change. I don't know if they've thought enough about it to remember to do that, but I think it's a really good idea. And at this point in the game's life cycle,
when they do think about it, I think that's what they'll do, because Nightmare, it doesn't serve a purpose anymore, the restrictions on Nightmare Pilgrim.
Right, and then everybody can get their Aerotech Corals on all of their alts, because they've got to get the 3 Nightmare Pilgrim kills in, which we've done every once in a while, but that's a per character mount, the Aerotech Coral mission, and trying to get 3 Nightmare Pilgrim kills in to get that mission out of your mission log on whatever random alt. That's a tough one.
Yeah, we were just mentioning that, MFN on Tuesday, like everyone's got that quest on all their alts, and it's just completed except for Nightmare Pilgrim.
And then Zen brings up a good point in the chat room. The DVL world bosses, the way they work today is if you find one of them in the wild, you can get a group together, and you need to be careful, because if the entire group wipes, the boss despawns. So either way, the boss is gone after that pull starts. Either you kill it or you don't, and it despawns. That would be a problem, again, if people say, oh, there's enough people here, let's pull. People will join in as they come, and pulling early for that kind of thing and wiping is not good. Although maybe some faster battle reses might be able to help out in that situation. So let's talk about this next thing on the list, which no, that's not on this one. Where did they put the battle res thing? Oh, that's under Vanish. I don't know why they put it under Vanish. So we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
because they sort of buried the lead under this Vanish set. Combat changes Vanish. Then down in the third paragraph of under Vanish, they're talking about the battle res timer. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
The daily, weekly mission reset. I think this is going to be bigger than people expect. Having things like multi-tagging is going to contribute in a positive way, and that's why I wanted to get through multi-tagging first. Lulu Dallas Multitag. That was going to be the name of the podcast this week. For anybody that gets that reference. What they're going to do here, they're going to make daily and weekly missions not carry over and not just be random things that stay in your quest log. Anything uncompleted at the weekly mission reset is going to go away. It's going to reset. The reason for that is because and this is where I think we're going to need to sort of see it and see what they're going to do with this, and is going to be a deeper change and probably more interesting and maybe more fun for us. We hope so. They're restructuring the way they present content each week. So I think that is a deeper comment that we should probably keep an eye out for what that really means as this develops. They do say things like, weekly missions are going to rotate in availability. They're trying to like funnel people into various areas or content or types of content. And then with things like multi-tagging, that's okay, because then people, if they like multi-tag one of those little quest mobs and you get credit for it, as long as it's your own faction, then you'll be able to get the items off of it. It's not going to be a problem with a whole bunch of people in an area. It'll actually be positive. It'll feel busy. It'll feel fun. So there's that. And then they said also they're going to be making a number, and I didn't know what they meant by that. So here's an opportunity for us to speculate, Seema. But a number of quality of life improvements, including auto-completing missions.
So I have comments about this too, which is also related to Feast of Prosperity, because I don't know if you've noticed, but when you do the world boss ingredients quests and you kill the world boss, you get the ingredient off of him or it or her or whatever. But there's also you get the local ones, which are sometimes a clicky, but sometimes you have to kill mobs and you get the drops off them. For those mobs, looting works like it used to. Like everyone can loot those mobs instead of it being really confusing, and there's beams that might not be your alert. It's just like everyone can loot those mobs.
It's not personal loot. It's
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like when you kill things in a raid group in an ops team right now, it's almost like it's not even really tagging even within your own group. So it's like maybe they're cleaning stuff out that way. But also in Feast of Prosperity, some of the quests that you do auto complete, and some of them you have to turn into the terminal. So like, how do they make that decision anyway?
Right.
Like when you do the kitchen ones, they auto-complete, but when you do the ones that are on other planets, you have to come back and turn them in to a terminal.
And I never do, and I always forget.
When you complete the weeklies, they auto-complete.
Okay. Yeah.
And like
but the world boss ones definitely do not. You need to go back to Nar Shaddaa.
Right. And when you kill Eyeless in an event, you have to go back to the terminal. So
I would not be surprised if I had an eyeless completed in my Rackle Resurgence. No, I don't right now. I almost always have a completed eyeless kill in my quest log.
Well, the way I see autocomplete is it's going to be like Conquest is now. It'll come up on your screen, but you don't have to actually click OK. So if you don't want to get the currency because you're near the max, you can leave it as pending and go spend the currency, I'm assuming. But I guess that may not be how it works.
I think no, but I think that will be how it works, and there are a bunch of quests now that autocomplete in a good way like that. So that's good. I think I though wonder, and they've said in a number of quality of life improvements, including auto completing missions, that's going to solve that problem of forgetting and then going. I mean, the worst thing would be forgetting and then there's a reset and they wipe it out on you. That would be a bad experience, and that's why they're putting that one in particular. But what are the other ones? You think a number of quality of life improvements? I don't know. I don't know what else that would be part of this daily, weekly mission whole thing. Maybe some more travel options. I mean, we already have
Well,
like the quick travel to the point, and I don't know.
I don't know, maybe make it easier to find missions in your log or know your status of them. Well, I mean,
A new a
yeah.
new a new UI specifically focused
Oh my
around
gosh.
these these weekly missions. A new UI tab somewhere that could be interesting.
Ooh, maybe they don't count in your 25 missions.
Oh, that would be great. Let's up that. Let's up that. There's a quality of life improvement. Up my limit in my mission log. It's killing me. The 25 limit since launch. That's rough. All right, so that's that one. Let's see. Next on their list was economy adjustments. So there's been a lot of discussion in a lot of places on this lately. So we'll just touch on it and what they say. We've been studying and measuring economic indicators around the game's economy, specifically in regards to credit inflation. But this means that more credits are being created in the economy than are being spent, which drives the GTN prices upwards over time on all items. So the way you would see this is you would notice that stuff on the GTN costs more and more and more over time. That's the inflation part of it. The way this happens is how they're explaining. The way this happens is there's an imbalance in credits that are created and credits that are destroyed as part of a game system. Credits changing hands between players or people buying things on the cartel market and selling it on the GTN that neither creates nor destroys credits. Things like I got a whole bunch of loot out of a renown crate and I sold it on a vendor, or I got those credit tokens off of Conquest, or I just did a whole bunch of weeklies and dailies and I got a whole bunch of credits. Those credits are created. I leveled up a character. Those credits are created and then they're destroyed through very few things in Star Wars, and that's part of the issue. They're destroyed through taxes on the GTN. They're destroyed through you buying things off a vendor, and they're destroyed through things like repair costs on your gear. Those credits that you give to a vendor or a system that go away, not to another
Right.
player.
When you buy legacy perks, if you
Yeah.
buy them with credits.
So those and training costs, we don't have training costs anymore as a percentage of assets and wealth. Repair costs are just low these days compared to what they were.
And traveling costs are pretty low.
Traveling costs are low to non-existent depending on how you do it. So that kind of thing is the imbalance. There's a lot of speculation about what and why is what's caused this inflationary period and the inflation imbalance. When we had a long discussion about this after our mandatory fun night on Tuesday, if you look at economic systems, it's the ongoing it's the ongoing things that everyone participates in that create overall long-term inflation or deflation in a system. So it's really just they did this thing where Conquest is really valuable and creates a whole bunch of credits, and Renown dropping all of this gear all over the place and all of these crates, dropping all of this stuff for you creates credits in the economy, and everyone participates. That's what's creating where those credits flow, and the fact that there's people out there with billions or trillions of credits because they're doing crafting and selling things on the GTN. That isn't the indicator. It's the system that's creating or destroying credits is what's causing the inflation. Now, whether that's an unintended consequence of them putting the system in, or whether it was a consequence they were willing to have because they wanted renown and all of that gear dropping and that feeling of gear and rewards to be really big for a while as a change in 6.0 and 6.5 or whatever, whether they just said they were going to eat it for a while and just let inflation get a little bit out of control. That's that remains to be seen. We don't know what, whether they just forgot or whether it was they're sort of like an acceptable risk. What they've claimed so far that they're going to do in this update is they're going to take some steps. They're going to reduce credits awarded by completing conquests, and then they also said something like they're going to remove solid resource matrix items from conquest rewards and instead put them on the vendors. That the first one, that to me is a very valid tool. Anything where credit, again, that's credits being created, and there's significant amounts of credits that are being generated through completing conquest, both your daily and or your personal conquest and your guild rewards. The solid resource matrix, the only way that turns into credits flowing into the system is if you sell that on a vendor, and the sell price on the vendor is quite low. So that's a less interesting one.
Yeah, this comment here about the solid resource, that doesn't even fit. I don't know what they're thinking there.
Right. So a lot of people are arguing that this won't be enough. There's also just trying to understand what are the credit destruction mechanisms in the game. Are they going to have to tweak some of those levers and maybe like increase repair costs or increase those white materials that you use in crafting or increase the cost of those, which they did the last expansion, or increase taxes on the GTN. There are some other levers that I think they could be pulling. Do we want to go through a period of a big deflationary period where things seem to get really, where the taxes for everyone seem to get really onerous? That won't feel very good. If they wanted to get rid of, just do a couple one-time. See, this isn't a system that would get rid of things like we're gonna have a giant mount that's really, really cool that costs 5 billion credits. And that way we're going to go after the whales and we're going to get rid of those, we're going to take a bunch of credits out of the system. That's not a sustainable tool for managing inflation. You need the ongoing systems that everyone participates in. That could be a nice one-time hit to take some amount of credits out of the system, but it's the ongoing creation and destruction of credits that I think is more levers that they're going to change. Or need to, if they want to, or if they care. It's very difficult for new players right now to buy some things you think they might want off the GTN, but there's other ways to get that stuff. I mean, it's not great, but cartel coins, most of that is what we're talking about is cartel market items that get posted on the GTN, like hyper crates are worth billions of credits now or whatever. So that doesn't feel good for players, but there's so much in the game. It's that I would steer new players away from that stuff. Don't think you need a black die or some of this, try to get some of these old mounts that I'm riding around on here and showing on the screen. There's a lot of things that cost either cheap amounts of credits, or there's a lot of vendors in the game that once you build up some rep, you can buy things for credits off of some of these vendors, like the Rat Gold vendor and the Gree vendors and or some of the other vendors. I think there's like vendors on Ziost that have these really cool armor sets. Those are the things that people should be going after as new players. There's tons of armor sets and tons of items and tons of mounts that they can get for relatively minuscule amounts of credits compared to the things we're talking about on the GTN.
The thing is that big ticket money sink items aren't going to do as much as tiny things that are pervasive. Like if they do fewer credits for everything that you get credits for.
Right.
Missions, conquest, whatever. When you get an email from someone that you saved from getting kidnapped, instead of sending you 3,000 credits, they should send you 2,999 credits.
I think that is one of the least causes of inflation. Those credits that they attach into the emails. Here's 59 credits. Thanks for saving my life. 59 credits. I don't pick that up off the ground if it falls out of my pocket. But yeah, one idea that flowed by in the chat room which is very pertinent right now because people are talking about it in New World, is property tax. New World has what feels like a very punishing and very onerous system of taxes, both the taxes in the towns for trade and a property tax. You can buy a house, it's like it's like a stronghold, and you have to pay once every 5 days 10% of the value of your stronghold in taxes. I think it would be interesting, again, for the whales, to have some really awesome, really cool stronghold. I wouldn't add property taxes to everybody. I would hate, again, you don't want to take things away from players, but maybe we get like this new cool, awesome, there's a cool apartment. The luxury is a cool apartment with Valen who comes and visits. That costs 1 billion credits to unlock, and you have to pay taxes if you want to be able to use it once a week. There you go. That would get your whales and get some of their credits out of the game. Anything else on that one, Seema? Do you want property taxes?
No, I like the idea that some people said, like Starry says here, that just if they had cool items on the vendors, I just like this as an idea. But like if there were stuff on vendors that we want to buy, like for instance, she was saying, or Starry Saber was saying, retired items from the cartel market. But like for example, what are those things that you have to buy to make dark projects that you have to go to?
The IOCAF
Destin.
recombinators?
Yes. Not those, because mats are not interesting, but
But some of those crafting items, I mean, we got remember in the last update to the crafting levels, we got the green, the blue, or the white, the green, and the blue, or green, blue, purple levels of crafting, whatever they call them, supplementary materials. Yeah, that's what they call them, supplementary materials. The supplementary materials, that's a credit sink, because you can't buy those from other players. You can't buy them off the GTN, or you can, but you can't buy it. Nobody can like make them, and you can't get them off the cartel market. They only come from vendors, and you sink credits into that vendor, so credits are destroyed. So maybe for the highest end crafting at level 80, there's like something. There's like a crafting item that you have to buy to make the highest end augments equivalent to the ones that we're using OEMs and RPMs right now for, that you have to pay 10 million credits for the crafting item to make an augment. Well, there you go. Now there's a credit sink that only the top of the top players would even care about, and the top of the top players who have all these credits would be participating in and sinking their credits into. I just remembered a lot of people, again, a lot of the whales have sunk a lot of credits into the rerolls on amplifiers. So there are a few more of those systems out there destroying credits. But anyway, fun discussion, interesting to watch that happen. We'll have to see where it goes. We already talked about shared tagging. Oh, and now we get to this one where they sort of buried the lead, and I think they have the wrong title. So combat change Vanish. You can't use Vanish to get out of combat anymore.
If you're in a flashpoint or an operation.
If you're in a flashpoint or operation, for all flashpoints and operations, Vanish will. But they didn't say it wouldn't outside of operations. They weren't explicit if outside of the operations it will definitely not.
I choose to believe that I will still be able to do it.
You will be able to drop combat. Combat. I don't know.
Because
you still use it to cheese some mechanics outside of like some of the heroics.
They aren't doing this to prevent cheesy mechanics. They're doing this to do have more control over encounters and how often you can do battle res.
Yeah. Although
that's why this is
I would argue
together.
that doing some of the heroics is an encounter. But yeah.
Okay, so by encounter I mean operations and flashpoint encounters.
Yeah.
This is about battle resing. It's not
Yeah,
about
it is,
in and out of combat.
that is what they're specifying, and I do get that. I think I think it can apply to more than that, but yes, because it's
Yeah.
also some of the high end
Yeah, like
teams
Zen says,
are.
it does say the restriction does not apply to open world, PvE, PvP, or
Oh,
war
okay, all
zones.
right, all right. So that I didn't know what. Read this the sentence of the second the last. Okay, so again, Zen. I was elected to lead, not to read.
I was sure I had seen it somewhere.
I'm like I gotta say all the words, but then I've got like multiple things I've got to. I don't read. Does not apply to open. So you'll be able to drop combat in open world. Fine, fine. You get to do your little what SEMA does in the shadows will not be impacted
Maybe,
when doing.
maybe. I mean, they don't specifically mention instanced stuff that is not flashpoints or operations.
Right. They don't. So we'll see. Specifically combat res though, yes, that was a way to get around to make something happen that really shouldn't be happening. And if nightmare groups were all saying, "Oh no, we have to have a stealth reser," that's a requirement. Then that's also breaking group composition and like forcing people to make sure they bring a certain class, and then they either need to make that part of their design of the encounters, because you
Wait,
might be able to trivialize an encounter if you don't.
did you just say that was never that the Vanish style of resing was never supposed to work?
I think I don't think I think they would have preferred that it wasn't part of operation encounters. And in a lot of operations, they put dots out that are like dots are ticking constantly, or a pulse of damage, which I think
That
might be
makes
one
it
of their
that
workarounds to make it not happen.
that makes it difficult, and it's difficult already for a healing operative or scoundrel to do it because your HOTS ticking put you back in combat too.
Right.
So it's hard. It's not
Yeah.
trivial to do, but just because it's hard to do, I do not assume that it was never supposed to work.
Well, then, if that was the case, then it would have been in. I don't know. It could, I don't think
Yeah.
they're calling it an exploit, and I
Well,
think,
no, they aren't, and the fact that
and it never
I mean,
was an
by that
exploit.
reasoning, then by that reasoning, the fact that a DPS merc can do a battle res was never intended to work either because they're removing that as well.
No, I'm not saying just because they're removing it, it was never intended to work. But I would imagine. I don't know. That was obviously intended to work. It's a battle res, and they gave you that ability that is a in combat battle res.
And they gave you this ability too.
You taking, 8 of your players having an extra res in a nightmare operation, because you take all of your DPS and they all have a stealth, able to do a stealth out of combat res. I doubt they would prefer that they have to design encounters around that. So unless you're saying no, that they expected that, and they that they know that nightmare groups should be, a 16-person nightmare group should be bringing 8 stealth resers.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that probably happens very rarely.
But it could happen, and if that trivializes an encounter, that kind of sucks.
I don't think. Yeah, I think they're just making this change so they can have control over how battle resing works, and
yes,
I don't think they're making this change because of the possibility of nightmare teams bringing 8 operatives.
No, just as you say, and as I'm saying, better control, and not having to design around what could be extended to unintended levels.
Yeah, the only thing I was really reacting to is just the assumption that it wasn't meant to work, because it's tricky to do, and most people can't do it. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying.
And also, as a healer, you have to wait for all your HOTS to roll off for it to even work. And those HOTS, those operative HOTS, they last for 18 seconds. So it's a timing.
If it was intended to work, if it was I think it was allowed to work, but if it was intended to work, then I would expect Matt Pusevich would put it on his list and say, okay, well, in this encounter, we're going to make sure that 2 people die because we can. So, somebody will get killed here. We can use they'll use a battle res for this one, and then someone will get killed at this time.
So then,
And they're going to have to be really good enough and have like a couple stealth reses on hot standby. And we can sort of design the encounter around that. And Matt would do it. Matt would.
except for in that case, then that would be like saying you have to bring certain classes.
Yes. Which
I don't.
Which I would bet there are Nightmare out there teams that make sure that they have stealth resers.
I just would argue that whenever you say XYZ's person's intention was this, when they haven't said that's their intention.
No, I know what's in their heads. I've searched my feelings, Luke.
I did my own feelings research.
I researched by searching my feelings. Yeah. Anyway, that as you can hear us talking about what's going on with resing and the fact that now that they're removing the operation-wide lockout timer from resing, so you won't be able to stealth res anymore. That's going away because you're going to stay in combat. But what you will be able to do is you will be able to res a whole lot of times. We don't know exactly how many times, but only healers. So they are taking combat resing away from anybody except healer combat styles. So this one though, we're still gonna have to see how it works because they're removing the operation-wide lockout timer from combat resing, which was either the 2-minute timer on the story mode content today, or what's the timer in like a vet mode operation? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like a 5-minute timer?
I think it's like 30 seconds in story mode though. It's really short.
But do you have a cooldown on your combat res ability?
Well,
as a healer,
I think
like a personal cooldown.
Yes.
You're not locked out, but your ability's on cooldown.
There is a cooldown, but it finishes before the lockout.
Okay, so it's only like
cooldown.
60 seconds at most or something.
Yeah, let me actually. Oh, did I follow? Oh, I did. I'll tell you. I'll log back in and tell you. But
I could probably look at my combat res.
What's going to be interesting?
My combat res is a 4-minute cooldown.
So what they're saying? So basically, if you have 2 healers on your team and they're saying 2 people die,
you could
then healer 1 can res 1 guy and healer 2 can res the second person.
Right. But you won't be able to. You won't be able to chain heal 6 people in 10 seconds if there's a cooldown on the ability, unless you had 6 healers.
And also, what we don't know is what if both of those healers try to res the same guy? Does that use both of their cooldowns, or
does that blow their cooldowns? That would be rough.
Yeah.
And then they'll have to coordinate.
I mean, that's how every other ability works.
Yeah, like interrupts and cures and stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
So Zen says that combat res is about 5 minutes, even for healers, but affected by alacrity. That's my mine's 4 minutes and 19 seconds because of my alacrity. So that this actually potentially makes it less in story mode content. This could potentially make it less combat reses are actually available or able to be used in an encounter, because only the healers will be able to do it, and the healers will have a cooldown. So even if it's once every 2 minutes, you would have gotten more off if everyone had combat reses.
So that's why they're saying we understand the need for quicker battle res cooldown than that, so we're going to have our hand on that lever. Right.
So that probably gives them an opportunity too now here for, should we put in a tactical or a set bonus or something in the tree of the healing style that reduces your combat res cooldown time? there's a whole bunch of things they could do around that then, as they sort of move that lever back and forth. But yeah, definitely they buried the lead there in talking about this, entitling this section and making it all about Vanish. That's actually the much less interesting. All this stuff going on with reses and combat reses is the more interesting part. Yeah, we will be monitoring this and we'll adjust the cooldown as needed. All right, so we'll see how that goes. And then, second to last of the cool things, but one of the coolest things.
Just before we leave that
Oh, yeah.
should say we'll be monitoring this and adjust the cooldown as SEMA needs.
as needed by SEMA.
Yes.
Yes. Chris, somebody get Chris. Chris, SEMA says you gotta make that cooldown shorter. All right, we'll make that happen. Somebody get Chris back on the line. I have a bat phone that goes directly to Chris Schmidt now.
I mean, this is how it works in other games, so I'm sure we'll be able to find a way that'll work.
This next, I think this is certainly. Oh, wrong button.
Bet you didn't see this coming!
This is the number one that I did not see coming. I think
Nope,
a lot of
I did
people
not
did
see
not
this
see
coming
coming.
either.
And this is the upside. This is what everybody's saying. Well, finally, something is 7.0 that's not going to make me rage quit. There's a person that sounds like that somewhere, and that's what they said. Weapons and outfitter. Yay! We've been asking for this for quite a while. So a couple things on this, and then I want to sort of speculate on what you're gonna, what weapons you're gonna start equipping. Tinier and tinier blasters that you're gonna be equipping, Zima, as you like to do. And you know the direction mine are gonna go. To get the big guns at the gun show. Anyway, you will get weapons in the outfitter. It was a much more difficult challenge, and the way they describe it here, you can sort of get a little bit more of an understanding of why it was a difficult challenge. Because it's not just the look of the weapon. They can have unique audio. And all my weapons, all my blasters sound different, and I like different blasters because of the audio specifically. Color crystals, so those will be part of the appearance that gets stamped. Weapon tunings, you got weapon tunings that are overlaying the visuals of it. So all of that sort of has to be stamped into what shows up in that slot as well. What will not be what will not be part of this, I don't think, and they're not describing it like this at all. And in this is, some people were asking will I be able to separately stamp in a color crystal versus a tuning versus a weapon and mix and match? I don't think you'll be able to do that, for one. And for two, I don't think you're going to be able to, and I'll say you're definitely not going to be able to. If I'm in an assassin style, can I stamp in like dual wielded lightsabers? No, no. You're a saber staff user in your assassin style. Now remember, you could have multiple styles, but for your assassin style, you use a saber staff. That's you're not going to be able to like stamp a blaster rifle over the top of that and be using that as an assassin. No.
Zen wants a blaster rifle that shoots lightsabers.
A gun that shoots lightsabers. It's close. It's close. What is that? Guild Wars, one of their legendary bows, the bow was like a rainbow bow that shot unicorns. Unicorns would come flying out of the bow, and that was your legendary weapon. I could just have, like, as a Sith Lord, I could have like Sith apprentices that come flying out of like a blaster cannon. Wouldn't that be cool? I think this is going to be fun for a lot of people and sort of rounds out what we wanted in that, being able to have our styles. I'm quite excited about it. The blasters that I have, are not legacy shells. And so it's always been a problem for me. I've had to like move the mods around because these are not legacy shells. So I either have to make duplicate weapons, or if I need these mods because it's the perfect min-maxed mods, I need to like move them over to put them in another legacy shell to give them to someone else. And I just don't do that anymore. I just remake the blasters on my. I've got a second mercenary, for example. I'm glad now. Now I can take these, which I really like, my plasma core, my GR TAC 10 plasma core blaster, augmented with the, what is that weapon tuning? The incinerator. The incinerator weapon tuning on my GTAC 10 plasma core blaster, which is just the coolest, isn't it? Look at that.
I wonder if you probably have to buy the weapon tuning again. If you're talking about using that.
No, I'm figuring I'll just be able to take this as is with the weapon tuning and the color crystal, and just put it in the outfit tab, and like just basically stamp it in there, like you can today with any armor piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you're gonna have to separately put the weapon tuning in there. Once you use any weapon tuning, it becomes legacy unlocked for you anyway, so that wouldn't be a problem if you had to. You can make unlimited copies on that character for no cost as soon as you use it. But no, I think you'll just take an outfitted weapon with the color crystal and the weapon tuning that you want. Then you'll open up your tab, and you'll have a thing in here for the weapon slot, and you'll just put that weapon in there and say activate.
I was just thinking it would be for alts, because why would you need to do it for this character? For different outfits. Okay.
For a different weapon, because now maybe I will get now I can take the SHA-Tech weapon drop and just use it, equip it and use it, and not have to be like moving mods around.
Yeah.
Because this will be stamped into my outfit. That's I think what it's for.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And then you could have Halloween weapons too.
You could have themed weapons that go with outfits, which is really nice too. I have much more interesting lightsabers, and I have different lightsabers I like at different times. I'm a big fan of the animated lightsaber blades, like the volatile saber, the Gree weapons, the Gree sabers. I really like all Gree weapons, but the Gree sabers in particular, they have one of the most unique blade effects on them. So I never put a tuning on my Gree weapons. I like it's sort of like a digital effect of like the blocks that you see in Terra from Beyond. It's that kind of style. I really like those, and I switch back and forth. I've got a couple of them on my assassin, a couple different saber staffs that I like that are different, like to mix and match. You'll be able to switch colors just by having a different outfit tab with different color crystals in your weapons. That's fun especially for the saber users. Switching colors that way is pretty cool and fun. I have bowcasters. I have bowcasters on a couple of characters that I'll be able to swap to or swap in, or not have to, and just have stamped into a tab.
Bowcasters too. I wonder where they are though.
There's still ones that you can buy off the bounty contract vendor for bounty contracts. I think there's a sniper rifle version and a blaster rifle version of the bowcasters. And I always wanted this. This is something I always wanted was I wanted like a blaster pistol bowcaster. So like a hand-sized bowcaster. So you've seen this in some fantasy games where it's like the pistol-sized crossbow.
Crossbow, yeah.
And so you could dual-wield little bowcasters. I think that would be super cool. Zen says the disintegration rifle, the Mandalorian disintegration rifle, that's an excellent one that you'd want to stamp in and have with a full Mando outfit. So you could switch over and be a full Mando at times. Like the Diablo Demon Hunter with the hand bowcasters. That's what I want.
I wonder. I think they're gonna. I mean, we're gonna have to, be type to type, but maybe in the case of rifles, maybe sniper rifles and blaster rifles will be able to be
swapped, swap back and forth and drop, break
that would
down
be a
the
way
barrier
for
between those two.
that would be a way for bounty hunters to get the disintegration rifle. Look,
No, bounty hunter
not the
still
effect.
couldn't because we have to use a blaster pistol.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're still going to be screwed as far as that goes. We're never going to be able to use the disintegrator
right.
rifle unless we switch to like a sniper or a
I
Vanguard.
I
class.
used pistols, but I was thinking that was a healing thing. But yeah,
No. This does remind me though. Where's my?
it is 1 a.m.
It is.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
I have an ability. Oh, let me open my legacy. Do it? No, I have a cargo hold, right? This reminds me on this character in particular, legacy cargo hold. No wait, no, I don't want legacy storage. I want personal storage. Don't I have a droid that just is my? Can't I just open my personal storage on a droid? Not legacy. Okay,
I think it's you can buy a droid for that, but I think it's a legacy ability.
Did I not buy it on this character? Anyway, I want to
Probably
real
not,
quick.
because-
I'll go to my stronghold real quick and show you because this is being one of my original characters, and because I liked blaster pistols back when I started, I have a tab in my personal storage because these aren't legacy bound, but I have a tab in my personal storage of every single 1 through 50 blaster pistol that I got over to. Look at all these. So these are all in the sort of like the class story leveling up 1 through 50. 45 blaster pistols I have saved from back in those days. So I'll be able to use any of these blaster pistols now. Some of these are even past 50. Here's like the Elite War Hero Eliminator's blaster pistol. I know I've got like, yeah, here's the Great Hunt blaster. I got that one. What was the named one that you get like in chapter 1?
Like Corsos.
Yeah, Corso
little...
Sparky or whatever he called that one. I know I've got that one in here somewhere. So all of these cool old blasters. Oh, here's the Raider Cove ones that look like pirate pistols. Huntsman. Watchman modified DTB 27 bolt pistol. I don't even know what some of these are. Nova Interceptor. Yeah. So I'll be able to use Torchy. Yeah, Torchy. Torchy's around here. Where's Torchy? I gotta find Torchy around here somewhere. But yeah, so I'm happy about that. And then I've got similar things with for some of the unique lightsabers. Not as many for anyone else. But I did collect those. I forgot about that. Those blaster pistols on this guy. You got any particular weapons? Here, let me come back there to Tatooine. That are like tinier than the ones you're holding, Seema, that you're dying to stamp in to all your.
No, because I never really.
Don't really care. You just grab what you grab.
No, and I just put, I just put the mods in, and I didn't change them around. I just put the best mods in.
Hey, that's not you.
That I had.
Brexia Winter invited you to join an ops group. No, sorry, Brexia. I'm not going to do that. What map are you on? I think I'm on the wrong map.
I gotcha. I went and killed some skykes while you were talking.
Oh. Seema's got stuff to do, guys. Draw your blasters. Draw your blaster pistols. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Those aren't the tiniest ones. You've had tinier ones than that.
I probably got some. I don't know.
My blaster pistol is like bigger than your entire torso. Look at that. It's like bigger.
They are.
It's like half the size of your entire body. All right, we got one more awesome thing though to talk about. So let's not forget it, because it was in the title of the show and in the opening. Wait for it, dairy items, legendary. So this is a new thing that's coming. Basically, what they're doing, and I wanted legendary items. I don't think this is going to be everything I wanted. And in fact, it's not. But the idea then maybe opens up the door to them doing the kind of legendary items I want in the future, which would be like I want a legendary blaster has like an extra ability or an extra an extra animation on it or something, and that's really hard to get. Now, what this really is they're taking the set bonuses off of your armor sets, and they're moving them. They're moving them to what they're calling legendary items, and there's two kinds. There's implants and earpieces, and you're able to equip up to 2 at a time. So instead of having to collect like a 4-piece set bonus or a 6-piece set bonus and collect all 6 of those pieces, and all of us who had to wait months to get our Apex Predator sets, you'll be able to pick up the Apex Predator earpiece. And now you've got what was the 6-piece set bonus for the Apex Predator on one item. Additionally, and if you look into this and sort of read between the lines, what they're saying is you will be able to, so they won't be inherently difficult to obtain, and you may be able to get them at a lower item rating than some of your other gear, and then have the ability to increase that legendary item rating over time. So I'm wondering if we'll be able to even get these before we get to level 80, that we might just pick some up along the way. Of these legendary items at some of the lower gear levels. Yeah, non-max level. Now I don't so when they put this in here in parentheses, I don't know if they meant just non-max item rating level, but they said these items will be obtained at a lower item rating parentheses non-max level. So I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna see there. It would be great if we could sort of be collecting them along the way. Although the leveling from 75 to 80, I'm sure is just going to be really fast, like it always is. So maybe that's not much as much of an issue. And then this whole idea of you might get them at a lower item rating than some of your other gear. You will have the ability to increase a legendary item's rating directly. That's also interesting. So I don't know what's going to go. I don't know how that's necessarily going to work of increasing its item level rating. The only reason you would want to do that, I guess, is if it also has stats on it, which they couldn't really get rid of. They would mess up their stat, sort of this whole stat pool for your character if they took stats off of them. So I don't know if it's going to have like stats and amplifiers and item modification slot, and you're going to be able to level it up to get more stats on it over time. This was a weird part of it for me, because I get and I like just taking the 6-piece set bonus and shoving it over and putting it on an earpiece or an implant, so that maybe we can even mix and match, and that will be an intent, because they said what did they say? The earpieces will be focused on the combat power. Yeah, earpieces are going to be skewed towards combat style power and effectiveness, and implants will be focused on utility improvements. So you could kind of think about it in terms of like what the 4-piece set bonuses used to be and what the 6-piece set bonuses used to be. The 6-piece were always the big ones that increased your power.
Why do we think that the word legendary is part of this?
Why are they bothering to call it legendary?
Yeah, because
I don't know.
Is it because they're thinking, well, it used to take 6 pieces and now you can do it on 1 piece, so that seems pretty epic, so it's
and
legendary?
Maybe it'll grow because it also grows a little bit. It grows with you over time, and you can up its item level. And maybe as they increase the item cap in the future, they plan for these maybe to persist even further. I don't know. Because it's not, yeah, as you say. And here's what I wanted as a legendary item. As I said, I wanted like, the legendary blaster pistol of Oz, and it's
Right.
It's giant. It's as big as SEMA.
If you move the set bonuses, if you move the set bonus from like the belt to the shoulders, does that make them legendary shoulders? Because that's kind of what they did here.
Yeah, you're right. No, it doesn't. The only piece that's similar to legendaries in other games is being able to level up the item. that is
I'm okay with them using it because another way that legendary has been used in other games is to mean only a small percentage of people get it. And I don't like that as a mechanic.
right, right. And it's super hard to get. It takes a long time, a lot of grinding, and not very many people get it. And so it's only for the best of the best and the 1% and Nightmare Raiders. That would be bad. For this, I
okay
don't know.
with-
They kind of just stuck it on those two items. I kind of wondered why they didn't, if they wanted to do this, make two more kinds of tacticals, and add two more, add two more squares on this side. Have your main tactical, and then have two more set tacticals. Have your combat tactical, have your style tactical and your utility tactical and your combat tactical or whatever.
I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea of having lots of different slots where you can just put different abilities on. That's pretty cool. I'm just saying why legendary, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll find out why. Maybe it'll become obvious.
Maybe, I mean, to have a legendary item that you can't even see also is a little underwhelming.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because it doesn't even make your ear glow.
Right. Your pieces don't, and implants are inside your skull and potentially. So that's weird. So
Mine are inside my knee.
maybe you can open up your head and show them off, or you in your case opening up your knee. Jack the Champion asks the question, wonder how big of a change it's going to feel like. One thing I think that this is trending towards is maybe it will be much easier to, and you'll be able to put it in a loadout to mix and match different legendaries into your earpiece and your implants, and have loadouts that mix and match, maybe like 4 or 5 of them in 6 different ways, and that will be interesting. Everybody's debating where implants go now. No, I think that there's cybernetic implants where they would go in your skull. That's where an implant goes, because it augments your abilities. And it can,
Yeah, like right now,
could
I'm
be
thinking of, like I basically all of my alts that I don't do ops with, they just are using the Victor's set bonus.
yeah. Right.
On my Merc here, whenever I do stuff out in the world with her, I don't bother to switch her gear away from her healing set. But if it was just an earpiece and I would get the advantage of Victor's, maybe I would.
Right. That's interesting. I wonder how easy.
Like Victor's.
I wonder how easy these better be easy to get, I guess, if
Yeah, that's another question.
we're gonna want them for all 38 of our alts.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not gonna grind out a legendary for a whole bunch of alts. Like right now, Victor's is you kind of just get. You can get it for free. You could have a set for every alt, and it's not very hard to get. I would hope there's at least baseline legendaries that do have that kind of thing. Well, alts are alts. Maybe it won't matter. Maybe I don't care. It'd be nice if at least a lower tier are available, or maybe it's like some baseline legendary that you could just buy off a vendor for your alts that does something like the Victor set. That would be nice to have. So thereby, where there's an idea for you. Yeah. So there we are. We had plenty to talk about tonight. New things coming up. This will go on the PTS before long. Anything else before we sort of wrap it up?
Yes, I have one thing I want to say.
Yes.
And that is, you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Oh. I want to remind everyone that SWTOR has started a podcast.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I meant to put that in the news, the community and news section.
Yes.
Yes.
We meant to mention it up top and we forgot, but
shout out.
So she started a podcast. So yeah, shout out to SWTOR to check it out.
Yep. Yeah, they're a few episodes in now. I know we're going to get to like
She
a
is
year from now, and still be saying, "Hey, that new podcast."
she is a content beast. So
Yes,
she's
yes, I'm
and,
sure
and on
there'll
top
be some
of
good stuff
all of
there.
her videos and stuff, she's also making guides. She's also has so much data on her website about, I mean, everything. And now she also has a podcast.
Cool, cool. So yes, check that out. Yeah, thank you, Seema. This is what happens when you don't write things down, or if you don't read, as you know, I
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
Other than that, I would say keep an eye out for updates to the PTS. We've been debating what's going on with the PTS. I am convinced now that there's a dev branch with a lot of this stuff already done on it. And why we're not seeing it on the PTS is they need to take only pieces of it. They can't take their current dev branch that they have got with, like testers are testing it. They've got their whole test crew looking at it. They can't take that and just slap it on the PTS. They can't do that. Because what happens then is data miners would find every line of dialogue. People would be getting into they'd be, getting into the operation. They'd be taking it all apart, and it would spoil everything. So what they have to do, which is a much more difficult task, is they have to take individual features and they have to merge those into the PTS branch. And that's a lot of work. So what they did say, they're going to try to put some of this stuff on the PTS so that we'll be able to check it out. Some of these gearing changes, maybe these legendary items, we'll hopefully get to see some of this stuff before long. I would bet that some of this stuff is done. It's just a matter of how much are they going to be able to merge into the PTS branch. But they said they're going to have some of this new stuff on the PTS. Keep an eye out for that. I think we're all going to want to get on there and give it a shot to check it out and see what it looks like, how it feels, and start imagining some of the implications and unintended consequences of some of these kinds of changes. It's going to be that first step's going to be a doozy for 7.0. So keep an eye out. But right now, this week's podcast for this podcast and our EPC 402 droid is ready to wrap up and get this out and broadcast this to everyone out there that's going to pick it up on all the feeds. You can find out when this goes live on our broadcast night and when I actually get it up on the feeds by following me on Twitter at MaxTheGray. And if you know anybody that should be playing with us, we play on Starforge. You can come tell them to come find us. Our guild website is aie-guild.org. It's a big gaming community with guilds in all of the major MMO titles right now. We've got a big thing going on in New World right now. We've got a huge crew in Final Fantasy. We've always been big in World of Warcraft. We've got a bunch of people in Guild Wars. aie-guild.org. Our guild Discord is in the upper right. It's open. Anybody can click on that and come check us out. Down in the SWTOR section, we've got channels down there where you can jump in and say, hey, I'm on Starforge. I'd like to come to one of your mandatory fun nights. You don't have to join the guild to join the mandatory fun night even. Jump in there and say, hey, I want to join up tonight. I want to join your guild, or I just want to join the mandatory fun night. Republic and Imperial side on Starforge, we would love to have you. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.